everyone, Connie here from the Daubers, and welcome to Shim-Line Saturdays. As we enter into bracket 2, we have the tongue twister that is Tusktooth Crew. Now I'm going to just call that TTC for the rest of this, and it's going up against High Speed Dodge. Why can't all cards be as easy as that one? So let's dive straight into it. So yeah, I'm not tongue twisting myself all episode, so we're going to show off TTC. That's what I'm going to call it anyway. Oh my goodness. So, straight off the bat, you can see just off the right where the shim starts. If there is a couple of angles. I've noticed this with a couple of the crit roll ones, right? Where they're kind of hidden shims. Quite a lot of them are hidden shims until you hit that angle. But then from the front, it's like bang on. It's all up in your face. Just off center, just cuts through the arm a little bit. Obviously we had a ruler measurement this time. We're actually updating it, so there's actually going to be, like, when I pause it, we're going to actually have a very specific graph across it that's going to rate it very precisely as well. So this one, yeah, off to the right, pretty noticeable, cuts through the art as well, which I'm gonna have to dock at some points there, because it's cutting through just the elbow. If it was any further over, I guess it'd be cutting through the actual shield on the block zone. But yeah, I think this one, it's quite shimmy. It is quite shimmy. So I'm thinking I'm going to give this 2.5 shims out of 5. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Yeah, I think that's what we'd have to do for it. Right, so we'll move on to its competitor for this week, which is High Speed Dodge. So this card, obviously, as you can see, is a promo from being top 8 at one of the regionals. And this was the first time, at least in my history with dealing with shims, that I noticed that you could get a horizontal shim. Didn't know this at the time, had never seen one, got handed this card, and obviously at the time I was quite adamant with not liking the shims as such. And when I got my top 8 prizing, I went, oh my god, and I looked at the other people with the top 8s, and I was the only one with the horizontal shim, and I says, this feels like an attack. I was like, what? How did everyone else get a perfect top 8 and mine has a big dirty shim right through the centre, cutting through the nose of a Titan and the kneecaps of Levi? This was the first time where I went, oh, I didn't even think they could go this direction. So this is it. Obviously, this was when I was starting to then say things along the lines of, even your promos aren't safe. But I think this is actually quite a cool one. Mainly just because the foiling on these things are, like, just beyond badass. The shim, it's a bit rough. With these kind of foils, there's no, like, the problem when you see it at this angle is I kind of want to be like, hey, I think this is actually meant to be part of the art, but I really can't tell if it's just because it's black and white, where it looks like it's meant to be. But I actually, the more you then turn it, I'm like, maybe it's not, maybe it's not. So it's actually, I don't know, could we count this as a hidden shim? Could we really count this as a hidden shim? I'm not too sure. I'm really I don't know. I'm going to say no to this one. I'm going to say no to this being a hidden shim. I don't think it's actually supposed to be part of the art. At least not that I know of. Anyway, I could be wrong. If in the comments below, obviously, if I am massively wrong and actually the manga panel for this is like that's where it's meant to be, fair play. But the foiling is beautiful. The shim, oh, it's just so noticeable. I am going to give this. I'm going to give this a 4.5 shims just because it is a horizontal. It is a doozy in the making. Yeah, for sure. So that is the two of them. So we're going to go into the next round pairing for this week, which we have Carnival Barker. Had to look at that there. Yep, Carnival Barker. So again, let's have it lined up so we can have a bit of a pause. We're going to then pull up our super accurate, like beyond technologically advanced ruler that we're bringing in. It's going to show it down the centre. As I say, I think this one's just slightly off the centre as such to the right. So I'm gonna, yeah, that's gonna dock it not as many points as I would normally do, because I think if you could get it right down the center, it would have cut through whoever that person at the top's face is, and I think that would have been great. Obviously, this way it cuts off just kind of where the shadow of her face starts. So it's almost in line for being perfect, but it cuts through the second person's face in a bit of a weird angle where it does look as if, I think it's just this stuff floating through the air and stuff, but it does look a wee bit odd on the lighting. So yeah, I'm going to mark that down a little bit. Not the most prominent of shims if there's a hidden, I mean, if you get it at this angle, hidden, but the moment you turn, yeah, like this has got like such a specific angle where the light doesn't collect on it, but otherwise, yeah, it's not the harshest of shims. I would say not the harshest of shims. I'm gonna give this one a 2 out of 5 shims. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 shims. I think that's roughly where it deserves to be. So then let's move on to its competitor for the week. So the second bracket we then have is Destructive Slam. We have one of the Godzilla foil cards that you can get from the collector packs. So straight off the bat, it is a beautiful card because it's Godzilla, so it's going to get bonus points just for being Godzilla and being biased. And I think the foil, if we get a pause here, yep, we bring up the graph, and it is probably a perfectly centered shim, to be honest. I think it's maybe, it probably is as close to as center as you can get, for sure. So, like, I think, yeah, that's going to give it some bonus points. Prominent shim, noticeable. I think, is there a hidden, see these some of these though, like you could get it right at this angle if the light, see, you can still see it a little bit. This is not a hidden shim. This is not a hidden shim. This one's noticeable enough where I think personally there's not really a great angle where, like, unless you're like doing this, there's not an angle that you can't see the shim. Maybe there I can just see it a little bit, especially when I'm looking down as well. Yeah, it's a close one. I think sometimes you get it at an angle just enough where it doesn't even look like a foil. Is the closest to the hidden shim, but I think, yeah, I think this is. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 on the shim rating for sure. Yeah, definitely 3 out of 5. But yeah, both pretty close. So we'll pull up the last two. So this is the pairings for this week, everybody. We have TTC versus High Speed Dodge, and we have Carnival Barker versus Destructive Slam. So again, in the comments below, be pairing these two off against each other. Get which one you want to go through. So do you want to see Tusktooth Crew versus High Speed Dodge? Who do you want to see go to the next round for that one? And then Carnival Barker versus Destructive Slam. Which of the two of them would you like to see in the next round? And we will join you next Saturday for our Shim-Line Saturdays. Also, voting for this can be done on the video that will be put up or individually for the shorts that will both go live on the Sunday. And you can also vote on the comment section of the posts wherever I post them as well. Just so we'll just bracket it out to as many possible outreaches. Get your comments in though, make sure your voice is heard, because one of these cards could potentially be getting graded for a PSA level card that might also then go out to a competition level where I might hand it out to somebody. So we'll figure that one out as soon as we get to it. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for watching, and I will see you all next Saturday for another episode of Shim-Line Saturdays. Bye everyone.